Innovating Education Learning World in association with WISE, an initiative of Qatar Foundation.
Can we learn something from hearing people talk about their own experiences? What about tragedy? Is there anything to be learned from it? We look at how projects are bringing survivors and witnesses into the classroom to talk about their own first-hand experiences. Nannette Konig, Reza Deghati and Rita Borsellino have all taken their stories into the classroom. Let's see how it works. Nannette Konig has vivid memories of her younger years, but they aren't all nice ones because she's a Holocaust survivor. So why does she keep the past alive by visiting schools and telling children about the past? Because she hopes that lessons can be learned from her experience. We talked to her about it in this report.
The past is still alive for 82-year-old Nannette Konig. After the war, she left her home in the Netherlands and started a new life in Brazil. She was a friend of Anne Frank, the Jewish teenager whose diary account of her family's time in hiding captured the world's imagination. Nannette was the last to see her alive, just before her death in 1945 at Bergen-Belsen.
It was really awful because she'd completely wasted away. There was nothing left of her. Even today, I don't know how we two skeletons could have recognized each other.
Nannette has made her past a topic for young generations. She regularly visits schools to tell her story and to convey a message of universal peace.
The fact that I survived, and I really don't know how it happened, brings with it an obligation, a mission to make what happened public. The message is that young people should be responsible citizens in the countries where they live and know what is happening around them to prevent another Holocaust.
Para que não haja uma possibilidade de se repetir algo como era o Holocausto.
Germinare School in Sao Paulo is open to talented pupils from underprivileged backgrounds. Leading figures often give lectures there. And Nannette's message has left its mark too.
We really like her story, because in the end it was a wonderful story. How could she have survived such horror?
I think she is an example to all of us how we can overcome, and she represents a new way of looking at our lives. We can feel how good our life is compared to what she experienced.
Students are able to modify their present only if they know the past. So the Holocaust story is a way for them to adjust their present, or even more, their future.
Nannette takes a message of peace from school to school, and the pupils listen speechless as the Anne Frank story mingles with her own.
Human suffering isn't easily forgotten, and photos of it can crystallize an experience for all time. Reza Deghati is a well-known Iranian photographer who has worked in some of the world's conflict zones. Armed with his camera as a weapon to fight against war, Reza talks about responsible photojournalism with the students in this school.
At the Lycée Bonaparte in Doha, students are learning that photography can change the world. Reza Deghati is a renowned photojournalist whose work has often taken him to some of the world's most violent places. This visit to a French school in Qatar is just one of many he makes, hoping to make children more aware about international issues.
After spending 30 years in war zones and conflict and refugee camps, I was able to see the reality of what children are suffering. So let's start with the children. Let's educate them in order to have a better world.
Before his visit, Bonaparte students were asked to look at Hope, the photographer's retrospective on the Doha Corniche. It featured 80 images depicting the joy and pain of people living through turmoil and conflict. Then, in a special conference at the school, Reza spoke about his career and showed photos from his assignments in Afghanistan, Burundi and Baluchistan.
C'est un homme de 75 ans à Baluchistan. Vous savez où c'est Baluchistan? Baluchistan, oui. Bravo.
Students say the lecture helped them understand how visual media can motivate social action.
Especially for the pupils doing their baccalaureate this year and who are preparing for higher education. It's interesting to know about photojournalism and to know what a photojournalist's career is.
After the day's events, some students seem inspired to pursue photography in the future.
It taught me that photography could be a great way to get a message across and to open the eyes of the world.
For the pupils at Bonaparte, it's been a chance to focus on worlds beyond the classroom and to experience a little exposure to picture power.
Italy's war against the mafia cost the prominent judge Paolo Borsellino his life. How can people turn memories of sorrow and pain into tools for change? Justice, legality and social peace are what Member of European Parliament Rita Borsellino hopes can win the battle against organised crime.
It was something we expected at any moment. I still remember above all the smoke, the smell, the sounds, the blades of the helicopter, that image of devastation that was the devastation I felt inside me. I thought there would be nothing afterwards.
On the 19th of July 1992, a car bomb in Palermo killed Paolo Borsellino, one of the most prominent anti-mafia magistrates. The murder came less than 2 months after the death of his good friend, the judge Giovanni Falcone. The events of that day have been impossible to forget for many in Italy, not least here in the village of Catena Nuova near Catania in the heart of Sicily. Giuliana Galeo is a student leader at Enrico Fermi School, where Borsellino's sister Rita, who is now an MEP, is due to give a special lesson.
I hope this meeting will be an example for us so we can continue on the path of legality in our lives. To be a bastion of legality, I think it means to set an example, to be a positive life example.
On her school visits, Rita Borsellino emphasises the importance of keeping within the law. It's a message that has particular resonance in Sicily, the island where her brother was killed by the Cosa Nostra.
In schools I leave an important message, but I take in an important message too, which is memory. Remembering crystallizes when something happened. It's the date, the occasion, the place, and that's that. On the other hand, memory develops this past and projects it into the future, actually to make it the future.
Since last year, the school is giving more prominence to lessons on human rights. The teachers believe it's the only way to rein in the mafia. And it's a view shared by this student.
I hope the meaning of legality will remain with us, that is, fighting against the mafia and saying no to the mafia.
2 decades after the bombing, the mafia hasn't gone away, but Rita maintains that with time, it will be overcome.
Giovanni Falcone used to say the mafia is a human phenomenon, and as such it has a beginning and an end, and if he said it, it must be true.
Well, if you ever experienced this kind of tragedy, do you think you could learn anything positive from it? Don't hesitate to share your ideas with us on our social media pages. We look forward to hearing from you. Goodbye from all the Learning World team.
Learning World in in association with WISE, an initiative of Qatar Foundation.